In today's episode of Getting Geeky with Gamerlife, we sit down to find out what it takes to get your dice tie-dyed. Then we'll see what's on Kickstarter. But first, a message about our sponsors. This episode of Getting Geeky with Gamerlife is proudly being powered by Torres Games, who are bringing Serpent Master back to Kickstarter the first of next month. Serpent Master is a card-driven abstract board game for 1 to 4 players where a player must keep their serpent on top to win. Plus, they're doing a giveaway with us, or a few of them in fact, over there at thegiveawaygeek.com. Enter today and back their Kickstarter on the 1st of August.
Getting Geeky with Gamer Leaf, the podcast in which one man strives to level up his geekhood and helping you do the same, one battle at a time. Now, let's get geeky with Gamer Leaf.
Welcome to Getting Geeky with Gamerlife. Today we're joined by another creator of Dice. Hey, if you've seen it, if you haven't, either way, we're going to talk about it. It's Anthology of Dice, The Beginning, and today we're lucky enough to have on the creator mastermind behind these dice. Is that right, Bryce? Is that how you fit in line with Anthology of Dice, The Beginning?
That's right. Yeah, the creator of the dice. We had mixed the colors, talked about the different styles we wanted to do, and we're really happy to find a manufacturer that would work with us and come up with something like this.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us on Getting Geeky with Gamerlife. Now, before we jump into your dice, let's rewind a little bit, if we could. How did you get into playing tabletop board games? And are you just into board games or role-playing games, or do you do both?
Sure. So that's kind of one of the funny things I think about kind of my aspect, how I fit in. I actually started playing games just around the house with the family. Honestly, more than anybody, it was with my grandma. Playing dice games, really basic, the 6-sided dice games. And that kind of morphed into more just a love of games. Honestly, more on the video game side than anything else. And then I really fell into this business dealing with the role-playing dice games. To be honest, I really don't play a whole lot of them myself. It's more of a community that I fell into and really fell in love with. It's just, you're not going to meet a nicer community of people out there.
Cool, awesome. And are you playing any games these days?
A little bit here and there. Honestly, I've been so busy with the shop and then now running this Kickstarter, haven't had a tremendous amount of time, but the most recent game I think I've played just with other people would be Diablo 3. I try to get on there every now and again and hang out with some people.
Okay, awesome. But yeah, and it looks like you've been running the dice shop for a little while now. How did you get into creating dice and whatnot?
Bryce's Dice has been selling since 2015. Before that, I actually was doing different auctions and really operated more of a resale shop through eBay, and actually did a little bit on Etsy as well. And honestly, as a way of trying to increase sales, I kind of fell into some dice, and then that went really well. And then just trying to change the entire model from doing, used or older items into doing new dice. Worked with a couple other manufacturers, really, fell in love with the stuff that ChessX was putting out, then found out about some of these Chinese companies like HD Dice, BezCon, and the like. Started dealing with some of their merchandise, and I honestly had some issues with supply and just the overall conversations that were going on when I was working with those suppliers, and talking with people like the awesome management team at Roll4 Initiative. They kind of bolstered me into feeling like, it was something that I could do on my own, working with and talking with people at the Dice Maniacs Club on Facebook. I finally, mustered up the courage and a little bit of money to have these samples made up, and we're rolling with it. So this is the first time I've actually had custom sets made. So the whole experience is new and kind of scary to have the capital out to do all of that. And really excited to have, a platform like Kickstarter to do this on, to have the opportunity to release these dice.
Oh, for sure, most definitely. So before, if I understand correctly, you weren't necessarily designing them or whatnot. You were just selling dice that were already out there?
In the very beginning, before Bryce's Dice, and at that time I had some really bizarre, obscure eBay name. So there were some used dice, but actually It started with a 400 pack of BezCon dice that were parted out into 10 dice sets because thought that a 400 pack was a little too large. It didn't make a lot of sense for most people's uses or needs. And then it kind of just branched out from there to the point where I think in the entire catalog, there's only one color that I would consider used, and I'm not even sure that's an accurate descriptor for it, but it's the windmill dice that went out of production in the late 1970s. But everything else, the HD, BezCon, Chessex, Roll for Initiative, everything else, those are all brand new dice. And that's almost exclusively what I deal in at this point.
Okay, and so why the switch to Kickstarter? What made you decide to go ahead and get some new stuff going on with Kickstarter?
There's a part of running the business that says, well, are we expanding, or are we just kind of looking at what's already out there and trying to compete with prices with other people who have the same merchandise? And I enjoy that, and it's a lot of fun. Trying to compete in that market. Where Bryce's Dice, what we do is, if you're over $9.99, you get free shipping, and if you go over $11.99, you get $2 off your order if you use the code located at the top of the screen. And that's a lot of fun. But after a while, there's just been so many sets coming out from so many different manufacturers, and then they sell out, and you can't find them anymore, or they'll say, oh, this is an exclusive set or something else. And I just find it really frustrating. I'm constantly getting in new dice from all these different people, and I don't know if I'll be able to get them again, and then I sell out and can't provide them to customers, and I really don't like that. I don't like disappointing customers on that end. So there's some people that I'll definitely continue to do business with, but some of these more exclusive sets or more fly-by-night sets, I think we'll start to pass on now. So with the anthology, the idea is that these aren't limited run. There isn't going to be 2,000 sets made, and then after that, if you didn't get it, you just didn't get it. The idea is that this will be a permanent run or a fixture on Bryce's Dice, until which point they just stop selling altogether, or it's time to make space for something new. So I think that's the biggest pull, is that, hey, let's do something new, but let's do something new that everybody can get their hands on, not just the 1,000 people that happen to back the project.
So that's pretty cool. Yeah, a lot of times with Kickstarter, at least games and whatnot, you'll see the where they run a one campaign and they're done until they maybe do a reprint again on Kickstarter and change something up. But that's cool that you'll be doing that. So how did you come up with the different colors or whatnot? When I think of them, I think of tie-dyed shirts from way back in the day when I was a kid.
Yeah, so and I don't know how true this is, but the people I was talking with over in China, we're talking about this tricolor, or this 3-color blend that they're able to do, was something new to do it in this kind of effect. It was kind of new to their manufacturers, and so I thought, well, that's kind of neat. Like, let's see what we can put together. And it really was just going through Pantone swatches, trying to figure out like what I thought would look good. And even as I was kind of coding some of the colors over, they were like, well, I'm not really sure that'll work. You can really see that in the dark blue, light blue, the brown set, what we call the Muddy Waters. That set, they totally thought, oh, that's not going to work at all. She's like, yeah, you might want to consider changing. I'm like, you know what, let's give it a shot. And as you can see, it actually blends really well, where there's still 3 distinct colors, even though the 2 blues are similar. The way that they're poured in and mixed together, you can actually still differentiate between the 3. And so that was really cool. But honestly, it's kind of a crapshoot just to say, well, let's just see what we can come up with here when we throw them together. That said, there were 2 other sets that are dual color. And that was just something that I kind of thought was missing from a lot of different collections that I didn't really see why they weren't. I thought they would look great, and I'm really excited with the way they turned out. That's Spirit Life and Spirit Shadow, and I anticipate both of those being highly sought after sets.
Cool, yeah, I really like what I'm seeing on your Kickstarter page, the different color dice and whatnot, and how they blend together. Now, with something like this on the dice, are all of them created equally? Like, if I buy a set, they're going to be the same regardless of who gets a set or whatnot? Or do they come out with different colors? Is there any change between one production to the next production of dice?
So that's a great question. And honestly, the answer is less than simple. And the reason for that is, one, from set to set, within one batch of production, you're going to have different swirls. There's going to be some dice that are going to have maybe a lot more orange or a lot more blue. And that swirl effect really isn't, as predominant in this dice, where maybe the D6 looks great or the D20 looks great. And that's been definitely a subject within the new Chessex Menagerie 10, where there's some sets will have a lot of window and a lot of swirl and vibrance, and the next one will be kind of dull or muddied. And I think that's still going to be somewhat true with the anthology here, except that with the way that they're created, the swirl effect, there should be a lot more pronouncement of each color, and I think the pictures show just how that's going to happen. But whenever you do this, right now that we had two of each color produced, when it goes to full production and we make, 2, 5, 10,000 of each set, whatever we decide to go with at the end of the Kickstarter, the swirl will be unique to how that production line went. And it could vary a little bit from what was seen in the Kickstarter. Now, the Pantone colors, they're set. Those aren't going to change. But where the Parakeet seems to have a little bit more yellow than any other color in it, it may lean more blue in the final production. And that's hard to say what's going to happen until it actually happens. But in general, once it goes to production, that first batch should be fairly similar from set to set, with subtle variations with um, pronouncement of one color over another.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So my wife used to get a lot of yarn and stuff, and they did something similar with the yarn, and it varied from production set to production set. So that makes sense. And now, when I talk to a lot of designers and stuff, and they do play testing for their games. Do you have to do something like that with dice as well? I'd imagine.
Playtesting in what regard?
Like to make sure they're going to turn out okay, or it's pretty much just cut and done or whatnot. You just check the colors or whatnot when they send them back to you.
Sure. So these molds they're generic molds, are not molds that I had created specifically for Bryce's dice. They're the basic molds that you're seeing with a lot of these different Chinese produced dice, where the D4 is 16 millimeter, the D12 is 18, the D20 is a 20 millimeter die. So we know how they roll. We're happy with that. We know the way that the numbers look, where the dots are for the 6 and the 9. All that seems to look pretty good. So really, there's not a whole lot of rolling that goes into it. It is taking a look at the colors and checking them. Some of the colors didn't turn out quite like what was hoped, but it's still unique and different in and of itself, and I'm excited to see that. So there was potential for some to be kicked out, and actually there were room for some D20s that were supposed to be a unique color that didn't turn out. They were going to be a separate add-on, and quite frankly, they didn't turn out anything at all like I was expecting, and so those were scratched from this project. But I think it would have been, if something came back and it was so muddied and so unappealing, that could have been that would have been the test that it went through, is really facially how it looked. But we had great reception on Facebook and Instagram that there was no doubt in my mind that all these colors were going to make it in this Kickstarter.
And that makes sense. And it looks like, I don't know how long you've been on Kickstarter, but at the time of this recording, you're just over halfway to your funding goal.
Yeah, that's right. So that's halfway in around 3 days. We're just over the 3-day mark here in the Midwest. So really happy with the reception we've got. I mean, man, the feedback's been great. The emails we've been getting, the correspondence been awesome. So really happy to see that. We're just past 6,000 on our 177th backer, and a ton of people have came out and saying, hey, I'm getting in next week, or I'm getting in real soon, and really happy to hear that. And being halfway, we still got some ground to cover, but it's looking good for day 3.
Yeah, most definitely. So yeah, it does look pretty good. When it comes to the anthology of dice, what makes your dice pop as something my audience should go check out, and they like what they see, back it on Kickstarter today, Bryce? Yeah, what makes your dice stand out?
Sure. What makes these dice stand out is just the uniqueness of the color. One of the best colors on here is the sherbet color. It's, a lot of people said it looks kind of like the sherbet ice cream, and it's just unique. I mean, you've got the pink with the orange and the mint color. They come together. They have a unique swirl, but it's also kind of like a graffitied in, which is piggybacks off the graffiti color. They're very unique and they pop. There's a lot of dull sets out there, and they serve their purpose for some things, but when you have a particular kind of player you're creating for your next campaign, you want something that's going to mimic it. Hollow Grounds is actually taking off. I thought it was going to be a neat color. It's actually, as far as Instagram goes, is the top color trending right now, and I think that's going to be an awesome color for when Halloween comes around. There's going to be some of the more spookier campaigns coming out. It's a great set for barbarians or witches, and that's awesome, and it's something that I think people are going to look at it and say, hey, there's a lot of stuff that can fit with these different colored sets. With the two spirits, it could be paladins, it could be some sort of magical set, and so that's what's going to make these separate this set from other Kickstarters, is just that these colors really pop and they're really going to fit in well with your next campaign, or they're going to fit into your collection really nicely. That again, these are good popping colors. They're going to separate themselves just looking at your collection. You're going to notice the anthology dice popping out.
Yeah, most definitely. They do really pop it to the eye when I keep scrolling through your Kickstarter page. Now, I don't know if this is probably a hard question or not, but I know it's like asking if you have a favorite child. But when it comes to this anthology, what would be your favorite color or your favorite set of dice?
No question. Spirit Life is the favorite, hands down. And as I say that, I go, well, and maybe not. But I like the Spirit Life has kind of got like almost a toothpaste kind of feel to it, where the teal kind of cuts through it, but it kind of looks almost liquidy. I don't know. I'm mesmerized by that one. I've definitely drawn to that one, and it's been number one. But as time's gone on, and I've talked to different people, the Hallowed Grounds is really starting to grow on me. And by the end of this campaign, and I could see that one given a good run for the money for number one.
Awesome. I really like the Spirit Life, the Spirit Shadow, and the Muddy Waters, if I had to pick.
Okay, great.
So we don't keep you all night. Minus coming there to your hometown to stalk you. How would people go about keeping up with you and what you're doing over there at Bryce's Dice?
Absolutely. So other than coming to hometown to stalk, at Facebook, you can reach us at Bryce's Dice, or Instagram at Bryce's Dice. There's updates constantly anytime we got anything going on. We do a lot of sales week to week. So I encourage everybody, hey, follow us on IG or Facebook, and feel free to pop in, send us an email, or hit us on Messenger. Happy to talk to anyone. The personal touch is what has for the last 4 years separated us from other sellers, is that we're happy to talk to you, talk about your dice needs, set up something unique if that's what you're looking for, or for your next campaign, and mixing and matching. We do a lot of custom orders for people. So don't feel free to drop us a line and discuss what you got going on, or what thoughts you have. In fact, some of the colors here, Parakeet and Sherbert, will actually recommended names for those two sets. It was something that we had posted them online and asked, what do you guys think? And it was because of the feedback from people paying attention to those posts that they got the names that they did. So there's a lot of opportunity to be part of future development, or just hear about new things coming out, or make some great deals. We had a 50% off sale, some sets a few weeks back. There was some opportunity to snag some really nice sets for really cheap, and that's something we'll plan to continue and do more and more as time goes on.
Awesome. And speaking of being involved with future dice and whatnot, somebody's listening later on after the Kickstarter's over and whatnot. Any secrets or any stuff you might be working on in the future for Bryce's Dice?
Yeah, I don't want to get into it too much here because we're still in the infantile stages of discussing it, but the Kickstarter kind of alludes to something where it talks about a partnership with a Roll4 initiative. In this campaign, we're actually going to be using their cases, and they're going to be printing up the inserts for us as well. And we're actually going to go ahead and have their people put the dice in the boxes for us as well. So we're going to be working really close with them on this campaign. And as we move forward, there's been a lot of talk, although nothing has been concrete, obviously, at this point, that maybe there be some sort of mutual work further as we continue moving forward. It's something I'm really excited about, even just to talk about. So I think it's something to definitely look forward to and see what happens.
And we'll make sure we leave all the links in the show notes so they can go ahead and jump on over. And definitely, if you're listening and you need that new dice for your collection, something for Halloween, or you just like the color, make sure you go ahead and back their Kickstarter so we can make it become a reality. You have through August 13th to back it before it's no longer on Kickstarter. And you can always check them out over at bricesdice.com, where, like you said, you have a bunch of sales and whatnot. Like I said, we don't want to keep you all night, but we really appreciate you coming on Getting Geeky with Game Relief with us, Bryce, to talk about your anthology of dice, the beginning tonight.
Absolutely, and thank you so much for having me on today.
No problem. I've always wondered how they get different color and styles of dice. Now we know. If you like these dice and need them just like I do, make sure you back their Kickstarter campaign today so we can make this anthology of dice a reality. Now let's go ahead and go over to, you guessed it, Kickstarter Corner with Batterina League. Where are we going, Batterina League?
Kickstarter Corner!
In the near future, cloning dinosaurs is cheap, easy, and commonplace. As public demand for even state-of-the-art dinosaur zoos waned, underground fight clubs quickly became popular and began producing huge dividends. Trainers began making highly illegal genetic modifications to their dinosaurs' stock. Numerous high-profile accidents calls for international cooperation in regulating the new industry. With millions of dollars involved, several countries began to legalize prehistoric pit fighting. Specialized training schools appeared, and soon dinosaur fighting was legal worldwide. The Ultimate Dinosaur Fighting League was formed, and in just a few years became the world's largest professional sports organization. The most successful dinosaurs and their trainers are some of the world's richest, most famous, or infamous celebrities in the world. Will you be among them? Did that sound familiar to you? Well, good thing I'm here then. This is a story of Ultimate Dinosaur Fighting. It's a miniature board game for 2 to 6 players with playtime of 30 to 45 minutes, no downtime, and no player elimination. If you dare try Ultimate Dinosaur Fighting, you'll step into a world where you control these ancient beasts, where every stamp of the foot, twitch of the tail, or flap of the wings could be their last. The game is easy to learn, fast-paced, quick to set up, has a high replay value, and is just great fun. You can play one-off scrimmage battles, a series of battles in a tournament setting, or use their campaign rules to run a stable of dinosaurs through an entire league season. You can add in mutations, tech upgrades, and training to ready your prized prehistoric gladiator to take on any beast in the pit. Sound fun? I thought so. So make sure you back their Kickstarter campaign for Ultimate Dinosaur Fighting before Thursday the 15th of August. Tell them GamerLeaf sent you. Long ago, there was a thriving kingdom of sprawling cities, breathtaking landscapes, and unparalleled magic, known as Everdell. It was a place of great wealth and diversity, powered by mystical orbs and elemental energy. At the height of its power, Everdell was destroyed by a cataclysm of magical energy. Left in ruins, the realms of Everdell were forgotten. Sound familiar to you guys? Well, good thing I'm here then. In the game of Dwellings of Everdell, you control a faction of mythical beings returning to Everdell to rediscover its treasures, harness its powers, and ultimately build dwellings. It won't be easy. Other factions have the same intentions, and powerful monsters still lurk in these forgotten lands. If you dare enter the Dwellings of Everdell, then you'll be able to enjoy this great worker placement, tableau, engine building, area control game that features dice-driven battles, unique factions with special powers, and highly interactive gameplay. Each time you play, the game will be different. Points are scored in a variety of ways, but are primarily earned by constructing dwellings, acquiring tableau cards, completing prophecies, and gaining elemental powers. Sounds like a game that GamerLeaf needs to play. If you feel the same way about yourself, make sure you jump on over and back Dwellings of Everdell before Thursday, the 25th of July. And if we be so lucky, we should be setting up a giveaway of Dwellings of Everdell with breaking games shortly, so keep an eye over at thegiveawaygeek.com for that to land soon. Are you prepared to crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and hear the lamentations of their dice? Then you're not going to want to miss the next Kickstarter game coming to you from S7 Games. It's called Conan Savage Legends, in which you take control of a legend in Robert E. Howard's Hyborian age as you seek to destroy your enemies in a fast-paced fight to the death. In this 2 to 4 player arena-style combat miniature game, you will use powerful relics and plundered riches to engage foes in glorious combat. Destroy your opponents with sheer might or cunning tactics and prove to your foes why you deserve the title Savage Legend. Are you game enough for Conan Savage Legends? Prove it now by backing Conan Savage Legends on Kickstarter before August 8th. Plus, don't miss my sit-down with someone from S7 Games when we dive deep in the episode entitled, What Kind of Legend Are You? If you liked any of the games we talked about in today's episode, make sure you check out their Kickstarter campaigns to show them and us a little love. Backing them goes a long way. Plus, make sure to stay up to date on all the giveaways we're doing over at thegiveawaygeek.com. There will be at least 2 to 3 new giveaways going live over there next week. It's our least favorite time as well as yours, so until next episode, make sure you go ahead and get geeky, stay geeky, and bring others in the geekfold by sharing our episodes with others, as well as keeping up with the giveaways we're doing over at thegiveawaygeek.com. Gamer Leaf out.
Gamer Leaf levels up. Tune in next week to see if Gamer Leaf's luck holds up.